Nearly 12% of all BEP20 tokens, the standard token on BNB chain, are tied to scams. Crypto risk monitoring firm Solidus Labs saying it has flagged nearly 200,000 crypto rug pulls and DeFi scams since August of 2020. Joining us now is Chen Arad, Chief Operating Officer at Solidus Labs. Chen, always good to have you. So tell us about some of your findings. A lot of scams out there on BNB chain.
Well, thank you, Christine and Lawrence. Great to be here, and I really appreciate you having me for this important and, if I may, spooky conversation. So our analysis released on Thursday reveals what I see as a major phenomenon of hidden theft across the crypto ecosystem, specifically on 12 blockchains, which we currently cover, including, you mentioned, BNB, ETH, etc. We are talking speaking on Thursday, on Thursday, we were talking about 188,000 scam tokens across this ecosystem. Now, it's important to say that a new one is detected every 4 minutes. So, at the beginning of this week, we're actually over 190,000. Those are, smart contract scams. Some people call them token scams, or DeFi scams, or on-chain scams. But long story short, they are scams. They are tokens that are pre-coded, pre-programmed, predefined in order to steal the money of the users and investors who invest in them. One of the more common forms or names that a lot of people already know is rug pulls. They amount for the majority of these scams. Our analysis also shows that there are different methodologies that are becoming more sophisticated for scammers to pull the rug beneath the legs of investors, and also that there are other kinds of scams that are disconcerting. I'll just finish by saying that, while obviously, as I mentioned, this is spooky and something to be concerned about, I'm also very optimistic because sunlight is the best disinfectant. This is not only showing that the fact that crypto and DeFi is open allows manipulative actors to steal money, it also shows the potential of using blockchain's transparency to start cleaning up the ecosystem and mapping these concerns to protect users and enable the potential.
All right. So, Chainalysis was saying that investors lost almost $3 billion to rug pulls last year. Maybe you could tell us what are some of the most common scams? You mentioned rug pulls, token impersonation scams. Tell us a bit about that.
Right. So, about half, the vast majority of the scams that we identified. And what? It's important to say, when I say identified, this is with certainty. We're using smart contract scanning technology. We're using crypto-native risk monitoring and surveillance tools that literally, over time, we developed models that scan the actual code of those contracts and knows when there are pieces of code that should not be there unless someone is trying to scam people. Now, what does that code do? About 96,000 of those scams are, we refer to them as honeypots. So those are rug pulls that basically mean that once users start depositing money into a new token, oftentimes, by the way, those would be meme tokens. So, a scammer would create a buzzy name and create a honeypot piece of code that prevents withdrawing once the money was deposited. That means that as more people deposit and no one is withdrawing, the value goes up. A very famous example here is the Squid Games token, which I think amounted to $3.36 million earlier this year. Other very common scams are hidden mints, around 41,000. That essentially means that there's a piece of code that allows minting new tokens in order to mess with the market and ultimately dump those tokens in order to essentially steal the money. Another very common one is what we call a hidden balance modifier, a little less common, around 8,000 of those, but that refers to the ability to essentially, for an external entity, usually the scammer themselves, of course, to mess with the value of the coin and again use that in order to ultimately steal the money. So again, there's a wide range of it, and it's becoming more and more sophisticated, but we also believe that this is an opportunity to really start tackling this challenge.
So Chen, when you say that a huge amount of this is on the BNB blockchain, are you saying that most or at least the most scams that you find are on the BNB blockchain, or they just have a significant amount of scams there? Can you lay it out for us? Where are we finding all these things?
Right. So again, across 12 different blockchains, they include Ethereum, where it's about 8%, Polygon, a bunch of others. BNB stands out because it has the highest percentage of all tokens that are scams. So in that case, we're talking about 12% on the date of the analysis was released.
So we kind of view BNB as almost not a really decentralized blockchain. That ultimately, it does have a lot of control from a few centralized players. What is it that about this blockchain that is attracting scammers compared to, say, Ethereum, compared to Solana, compared to other layer ones? Why BNB?
Look, that's a really great question, and I don't want to speculate. I do know that upon the release of the report, BNB Chain released a tweet that pointed out the really high number of users and volumes. Obviously, the more activity there is, there's more potential for manipulators. So why specifically? At the end of the day, if I say it, it would be a speculation. But there's no question. I think the important point here is at this point, there's no question that there is a concern there. And if you look at, I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone, but BNB Chain did release a Twitter talking a little bit about what they're trying to do about it. I think it all falls into the really fascinating conversation you opened the show with between, SBF and Eric Voorhees. Both of them are people that I avidly watch and learn from all the time. It's, we're going through an almost philosophical debate on, what is decentralization? How far can it go? And is it a dichotomy, decentralized versus centralized? I personally believe that there's a range. Decentralization is not a binary, it's a spectrum. And what you're seeing is different blockchains, different protocols, different DEXs, different apps, finding various spots on that spectrum and dealing with it. We can also remember that the BNB hack a few weeks ago was, addressed relatively quickly, in part because, Binance was able to contact the 26 nodes and, halt the blockchain before all of the money was siphoned out. So again, you're seeing an advantage here of a certain level of centralization, or at least a very kind of organization of the nodes that are behind that blockchain. So I think that, we're in the very beginning of this industry. We're just getting started. It's already extremely exciting. It's going to get more exciting. Part of that is also understanding the risk of decentralization, mitigating those risks in order to enable the merits. My take is that there's a reason no one in the world votes in libertarian governments. It's not because people like their freedoms infringed upon. It's because people appreciate a degree of supervision, especially when we're talking about something very sophisticated, very complex, right? At the end of the day, you need to understand code in order and go through a lot of code in order to verify whether one of these tokens is a scam. That's not something that everyone can do. So part of the challenge is simplifying risk. And we believe that this report is a very important first step to simplify risk, because if you want to keep a system open, you want to give people tools to understand the risk and make safe, smart, responsible decisions.